Hey everybody, Shane here from Vocal Display Gaming, and today I'm joined by Al of the legendary thrash band from the East Coast, Ravage. How the hell you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me. I just want to say congratulations on the new album. The new album is killer. Definitely hitting all cylinders for the full thrash attack right there.
Thanks, man.
And I just have to say, you guys been around since the mid-90s. You've seen the entire scene evolve significantly. Let's say it's gone through ebbs and flows of different subgenres, all of this stuff. How has the Boston metal scene influenced your music, and how do you guys keep your sound fresh and, relevant all these years?
Well, it's funny. Yeah, we've seen the local scene change, but it never kind of, it never kind of jived with what we were doing. We were always kind of the outsiders in the scene. There's never been really much of a traditional heavy metal scene in the Boston area. Maybe more toward the middle part of the state, in Worcester. There's been kind of a metal scene, but that we got into for a while, where there are some thrash bands that emerged in speed metal, bands like Seax, and some death metal bands have emerged. But traditional metal's always had it, pretty tough in the United States and in our area in particular. So we just kind of rolled with whatever was, happening in the scene at that time. So we played with all kinds of bands, from ska bands and punk bands in our early days, alternative stuff, to the new metal stuff. And then, if we could find a traditional heavy metal band to play with, we would always play with them. So we just do what we can. We just like what we do.
Yeah. See that? Yeah. Okay. So that's the thing. I always thought you guys had more of a thrash sound, because there are a lot of, you have the traditional heavy metal vocals, the cleaner vocals, because you have that mix. So it's you can fit in with thrash bands and you can fit in with traditional heavy metal bands. But to your point, it kind of sucks when you're one of the only bands out there. You're like, oh, we got to get on whatever show we can get.
Yeah, we always had a thrash influence in the music. We always have a couple of songs that really borderlined on straight thrash, but we never went to 100% full thrash on any record that we made. It was always a mix of the stuff that we liked, which would be thrash, some speed metal, some traditional metal, some doom metal and stuff. So we never kind of fit in with the thrash scene per se, and there weren't that many thrash bands around us anyway. There was a band, Razor Maze, which made some headway when they had the new wave of thrash. But even though we did sort of get lumped in a little bit with that scene, I wouldn't ever have considered us a straight thrash band. But we always had those influences. As we were growing up, Testament was a big influence, and and bands like that. So, and Overkill, and bands that kind of bordered on the traditional metal or thrash, spectrum.
Well, there you go. You heard it there first. More traditional heavy metal is what you align with. I always hate it when it's God, I'm trying to figure out a band's genre. Might as well just ask you.
Yeah, it's tough for me too, because we like stuff from thrash, and our guitarists are influenced from everything from black metal to speed metal and that all and power metal, and that all shows up in little bits in our music. So we're kind of one of those bands that you can define us as traditional metal or thrash, but you can't really pin us down within that or something.
Exactly. But with all that being said, I definitely hear it in the new album, Spider on the World. Can you tell us, how did you come up with that title? What are the themes behind this new album?
Well, it's funny. The title's funny because that was not supposed to be the title of the album. It was actually, the plan was to make a double album that was going to be called Ravage the Earth and Ravage in Peace. And after months and what turned into years of recording because of the pandemic and stuff, and we had these two album cover arts that we had made, I guess 4 years ago. We had them commissioned by Andreas Marshall, who's done the stuff for Creator and the Blind Guardian and a bunch of bands. We somehow got him to make two artworks for us. For these two albums we're going to make, or a double album. We got to the point where we were finally going to release it. We were finally going to finish up all this material we'd been working on. And I was like, okay, well, we should make this a double album, and nobody wanted to do that. So that kind of got shot down by the rest of the band. So I had these two artworks, the plan for the double album, and we had a pretty long single album. And so at the last minute, I looked at the artwork and I was like, well, why don't we just call it Spider on the World, because that's one of the songs that's on the album, and it's a spider, spider on the world. Mm-hmm. So, just to be Spinal Tapish and Captain Obvious, we just did that.
Hey, it plays out perfectly. But that is interesting. It was supposed to be a double LP, so I'm pretty sure. Do you have songs hidden away for the next one already then?
So, well, what ended up happening is the vinyl version is a 2-disc set. So it is longer than the album,
nice.
The version that you get in the digital version online, because we made 2 exclusive songs.
Oh, nice.
That are just on the vinyl. You can't get them digitally. You can't download them anywhere.
Hell yeah. I love
so
that exclusivity. Yes. Hell yeah.
So it really almost is a double album, but if you get the online streaming version, it's really just a full album. And then we do have a song or 2 that we left off of there. So
nice. Hell yeah. Hey, I love that album exclusivity. I still like picking up, as you can see, I have vinyls back there. I love physical media. I feel like it's a whole kind of dying art. You collect it. I love the album art, big art on it, and especially with the bonus tracks, I'm sold. Oh yeah.
And we tried to make it, a special deal for the physical collector, because it's got a lot of extra stuff in it. There's like a 8-page lyric book, full-size magazine, art notes, and full-color album sleeves and all kinds of stuff in the vinyl version.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. So when you were doing the production on this album, you were working at Damage Studios with Pete, and he has, I guess, a really good reputation of bringing really good sound when it comes to bands. How was that experience, and did he shape the way you sequence the tracks on the album, or change up a little bit?
So we had worked with Pete back in 2009 when we made our second album, which was called The End of Tomorrow. It was kind of the same situation where we recorded most of the tracks ourselves in our kind of home studio setup, and then we in that instance, in the last album we worked with him, we took all the music to him, and I did the vocals with him, and then he mixed and mastered it. In this case, since it was mostly recorded kind of remotely in the pandemic, we had everything recorded, and then we took it to him to mix it and master it. So he definitely had an influence on the final sound of it, because he's all about making the drums huge and bassy and boomy, which is what we like. But he definitely had an influence on the sound of it, but not so much in the actual writing end of it. It was all kind of written and recorded by us individually, and he kind of put his final little touches on it. And definitely the sound, reamping the guitars and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Now, how has everything changed? How do you say? I just had it right here. I was looking at it. But what equipment are you using now? How has that evolved over your time being in Ravage? Do you get any new, hey, let's check this out? Are you trying new things? Because I know, especially for guitarists, I've been talking to a lot of them. A lot of people are getting away from actual pedals and going to those digital boards now.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because I guess I think one of our guitarists just kind of pared down his whole setup into one little thing. And then our other guitarist is going back to pedals and going ahead. So they're constantly trying.
It's like somebody's trying to do, the new wave of stuff, and then somebody still likes their pedals, but nobody likes lugging around a huge pedal board.
Oh yeah. We've been doing that forever. I mean, I've seen the equipment evolve from the very earliest days when we were just some broke kids. We would take, I think we had my grandmother's old speaker, an actual speaker cab. And my brother at one point he had an 8-track player and he wired that into it. He was playing guitar through that with a pedal. So it was very, very low budget in the early days.
Well, that's how you get your start. You got to start somewhere.
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember I used to sing and play drums, and we would take, we didn't have enough money for a mic stand that would allow us to sing and play drums. So we took an old music stand and we duct taped, I think, a string of like rulers to it and attached a microphone to the end.
Hey, whatever works, right? You got it done. You
That
delivered
was the
on.
90s.
Hell.
That's really grunge, in the 90s.
Well, and speaking of playing live and everything, how are you guys going to start bringing some of these new tracks from the album live? Are there any tracks you're really excited to play live for people?
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, we've been playing them for a while live. Even before the record came out, we were, playing some of the songs. So it's we've worked out quite a few of them. I think the main ones we're going to play are "Sign of the Spider," the singles from the album that we've kind of been pushing. "Ravage in Peace," the song.
Yeah, I love fucking Ravage in Peace. Fucking great track.
Yeah, because we like to have a couple of short, thrashy songs in the set, so we're playing that. Man-Made Ice Age, which was the first song that we released from it, Man-Made Ice Age. So those are kind of the staple songs that we're going to be playing, and then the title track, and mixing in some others. So.
Oh yeah, and hey, with your stage presence and everything comes with you need great band chemistry, and to be honest, like you guys have been mainly intact for as long as you've been a band. Not too many lineup changes, or how has that all evolved with you guys playing, getting closer together? Are you still anybody at each other's throats, or you're all good?
Well, the core of the band, the two guitarists and me, we've been around together since 2001. So now 20.
Yeah, that's still pretty good. Good on you,
And I think that's because, the guitarist is my brother, so we were forced to stay together. But we kind of keep out of each other's way a lot, and just let when we get together, we play music and we enjoy the music and kind of thrashing out, and that's what we like about that. And we all have just gotten along pretty well. And then the most recent lineup of the band, because we did have a ton of lineup changes in the rhythm section over the years, but it's been pretty stable for the last 6 years. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's relatively stable, which is great, and that it all keys into that core sound that you want to do. You're all on the same page, What do you guys bring? Like, I always like asking people, because it's easy to ask, like, oh, what are your favorite metal influences, all of that. But do you have any non-metal or something that would throw somebody off that you take inspiration from, that you kind of put into the music?
Me personally, like
anybody. Yeah.
I guess probably singing wise, I grew up with classical music and singing in choirs and stuff. So the classical music influence, even though when my voice changed, I didn't do any kind of classical music. So from the time I was a little kid up until my early teens or maybe tweens or whatever, I was really doing classical music singing. So that, and maybe like growing up with Frank Sinatra, kind of crooners that my parents used to play for us. That kind of influenced the melodic end of things before I ever got into metal. When I was probably about 12 years old, that's when I started getting into metal. So, that's probably been an influence on the vocal end of things. Yeah,
because I could definitely tell, again, when you hit those kind of high notes and, the melodies and the way you sing, too. I love it. I think it comes together with these tracks. Again, you're going off of, like, you got speed metal, you got thrash going, and then just your vocals bring it over to the top to have that track. It's it flows together, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the vocals go, we've always tried to have that kind of melodic thing because, we thought that does add to the music. It adds another layer to it.
It's an instrument in itself. I think vocals are just as important because it could carry a song, because I've heard, if the vocals aren't flowing right, the way you're singing isn't right, and that doesn't fit that track, which I've seen it with some bands where you're like, the vocals don't really match this track school, doing that kind of pairing. So do you guys write the tracks first, or do you lay down vocals and say, hey, like, this is what I kind of want to do for this song? How do you guys go about your writing process?
Well, up to this point, it's mostly been that one of the guitarists and sometimes the bass player will bring me an almost finished song musically, without any lyrics, and then I'll listen to it a bunch of times and come up with lyrics and vocal melody for it, and then we'll bring it to the band and put it all together, and everybody will add their own little spin to it, the drums and the bass and that sort of thing. But it's been mostly a case where the guitarist will pretty much write the songs musically. There are a couple of cases where I'll contribute some music, but mostly it's the guitarist.
Nice.
So yeah, so it's vocal wise, it's been kind of a thing where I've just tried these guys write really good music, and I've just tried to not screw it up with the vocals.
Hey, but as long as you have time to work on it, then you just add your own touch to it. So, and when it comes to writing your lyrics, I can see a lot of horror influences, sci-fi influences, kind of harping back to the old school heavy metal lyrics, war, stuff like that. What inspires you the most when you're writing lyrics? Do you draw inspiration, from anything? What are some of your favorite topics to draw inspiration from?
I mean, for the past couple of years, it's been mostly the news. I mean, you watch what's going on.
That's a horror show in itself.
In the world, and the political realm, and just my personal reaction to it filtered through the mind of a nerd, somebody
I could see that.
Into horror and sci-fi,
especially with the cool Creep Show shirt,
there you go, yeah.
I guess you got some Star Wars stuff in the background. You got all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, pretty much in the same situation there, man. So yeah, it's because if you look outside, you can hide in in a world of fantasy for a while, but just looking outside, you can see all kinds of horrors.
Yeah, that's why I don't leave this room. I live in here. I don't want to leave this room. No, but it definitely comes out in your lyrics, and your lyrics are meaningful, and I love it. It tells a story, and it just it fits with the music, and you hit it out of the park with this one.
Yeah, it's just trying to add another element to it, just like the vocals. I mean, just trying to make things as layered as possible so that you can enjoy it on kind of a, one level where, you like the melody, you like the thrashiness of it, you like the energy of the music, but also if you want to dive into it deeper, because if you listen to a few different times and you pick up the lyrics and see what they're about, then you have another
layer, yeah.
Experience and enjoy it, yeah.
So I want to go back to, you guys have been around a minute, touring, playing these festivals. What have been some of your most memorable experiences playing live? Whether it be a big fest, small club, whatever.
We've had a lot of interesting experiences over the years.
What's the craziest thing that's happened on a live show? Anybody stage dive face first in the ground?
That's happened. I think the craziest thing is we played this sort of festival called Warriors of Metal. It was out in Ohio in the middle of nowhere in a field, and it was a camping sort of site where the stage was underneath this it was this ancient festival ground where I guess so
it's cursed. So there was technical problems galore that day.
I hadn't really thought of that, but it probably was cursed actually. They used to have old blues shows there, I guess. Old blues festivals and country festivals. And so we were camping out in this field, and it was between the bands. It was in the middle of the afternoon, and all of a sudden the sky got dark, and the place was ringed by trees. And we just hear this whooshing sound, and it's kind of like this. You don't see anything, but there's this leaves blowing around.
Yeah, it got hit and stuck in a tornado?
Yeah, like a microburst came out of the trees.
Oh, jeez.
Started throwing things around. Everybody retreated into this old barn. Everybody from the festival. It was there weren't that many people at the festival. There were maybe 120 total people and plus the bands. But everybody retreated into this old barn at the end of the field. And there was no light in there, so people were lighting up lighters and flashlights if they had them and foam. And there were just these spiders and creatures crawling all over the place because this barn had been abandoned for years. But it actually took down part of the stage, the microburst. These sheet metal pieces fell into where people would have been standing. one of our tents where we were staying got crushed by a tree.
Jeez.
So it was a pretty, but the festival ended up going on.
Hey, you got to go on with it.
Power was out to half the state or something. We ended up getting generator power, and the festival went on.
So you angered the spirits on the ancient burial ground, and it wanted revenge against your metal festival.
Yeah, some old blues band came out to get us. I guess.
Yeah, exactly. The cursed blues guys or something. No, but that's hell. You know, you never know what you're gonna get in a live show sometimes, especially outdoor shows.
Yeah. Outdoor shows are pretty crazy. I mean, we played this festival in Germany, and it was back in 2000. Well, it's a while now, 2018. The Headbangers Open Air. And I don't know if you're familiar with the band Manila Road, classic
Heard of them.
heavy metal band from the early 80s from Kansas. So they were playing, and it ended up being their last show because their founding singer and guitarist, Mark the Shark, he played the show, and I was surprised he wasn't doing much singing. Like, they have a second singer, and he was singing most of the show. And some other guys from the band were hanging out with him, smoking before. And I guess he died right after he left the stage. You know, we got to see their last show because he had a heart attack on his way back.
Oh, damn. That's, again, you never know when your last gig's going to be, right?
Yeah.
Hey, just keep on going, but that sucks. At least you got one last gig out of it.
We've seen some crazy stuff over the years, you know. Good stuff, bad stuff.
I can see that. But, I mean, yeah, you guys already been around this core group of guys for, has it been 23 years now?
Yeah, even though the rhythm section's changed quite a bit, but we've got a lineup now where, you know, this is probably our last lineup of the band. I mean, we're lucky to have the people that, you know, that we all get together, and we're all happy to get together, and we all you know, care about each other, and we're all under the same influences, and that's not always been the case over 25 years. But
exactly. And with that being said, there's a lot of bands that don't even make it that long. And there's a lot of these bands, you know, retiring. There's so many bands going on their final tours right now. How do you think Ravage fits into the world of traditional heavy metal, and what kind of legacy do you guys even want to leave?
Well, I mean, the important thing for us, because we've always been kind of a drop in the ocean or a blip on the screen, on the scene. You know, we've never really gotten that much recognition. And I don't know if we ever will, at least in the live arena where, you know, we're not going to do a huge tour opening for Metallica or even Iron Maiden or, you know, even bands on a mid-level like, you know, Testament or something. We're probably not going to ever do that at this point.
Hey, don't say that.
You know, you never know. But
that's what I'm saying. You got to have faith. I think you guys are killer. And I think that's why I wanted to highlight you guys. And again, this stands out to me. I always consider it more thrash, but, you know, traditional heavy metal. So I interjected and interrupted you to say you guys kick ass. So don't put yourselves down.
That's cool. Well, the important thing for us is that we make records that we feel will stand the test of time in the genre that we're in. So, you know, we don't care if this album sells 1 million copies. It's more that people who are into this kind of music 50 years from now will be able to pick this up and say that's a good album. That meant something. And that meant something to you when you listen to it. And so from that standpoint, I think we've made the albums that we have wanted to make. And we'll continue to do that if we have the opportunity to. And as long as we're doing something that's good and creative, you know, we're not going to be a band that puts out an album every year just to do it. Yeah, it's trying to, you know, sell records and make money. We're just trying to do this as our art and our expression, and whatever makes us happy.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to make music that you believe in, that you're truly passionate about, and the rest will follow. But if you're not making music for yourself, you're not making music for anybody else, you know? So.
And I have a lot of respect for bands that put out an album every year. It's not easy to do.
Oh, that's very hard.
Trying to make a living off of it. It's not easy to do, but it's just not what we're doing. We're trying to do it to make, you know, our albums are kind of an event, you know, in that it's our art and it's the best that we can put out. It's kind of like our our greatest hits album is every album.
Hey,
So we're trying to make the best stuff we can, quality over quantity and that sort of thing.
and that's all that matters, Again, put out the stuff you want to put out. Take your time with it. There's no rush. Play the live shows. Give us what we want, that pure, raw feeling, So with that being said, let's talk about what shows you guys got coming up. Any upcoming shows or anything else you want to promote. Where can we get the album? I'll have all the links down below, but let us know what's going on in the world of Ravage.
So you can check our website, which is ravagetheearth.com. With links to our Facebook. We've got Facebook, Instagram, all that. But our main site is ravagetheearth.com. And we've got our merch site off of that where you can buy it directly from us. If you live in Europe and you want to get the vinyl, you can get that through Underground Power Records. And if you live in Japan and want to get the vinyl, you can get that through Rockstack Records. And then there are a bunch of local stores in the New England area, which have been nice enough to carry it for us. But nationally, pretty much, you can get it through us directly. We can ship it out to you. So ravagetheearth.com. And then as far as shows coming up, we're playing some local shows. We're going to be playing in Worcester, Massachusetts with Blood Feast, the thrash legends. We're also going to be playing in, I think, someplace in South Shore, Massachusetts, I think Canton, with Kingdom of Tyrants, which is a band that features members of Malaya Rage and Steel Assassin from the 80s. So those shows are coming up in August and September, so check out our website for that, ravagetheearth.com.
Hell yeah. Well, Al, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I hope we hit everything you wanted to talk about. Was there any last minute things you want to highlight? Ravage, Spider on the World is out. You can pick that up now. Recommend you picking up the vinyl version, everybody. And I just want to say thank you, and I hope we can talk again.
Yeah, anytime, man. Thank you for having us on. Thank you for doing what you do and supporting the underground like this. It's very, very cool. And anytime.
Hell yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So everybody, check out Ravage, their new album, Spider on the World, and they're maybe coming to town near you. Stick around for the future. Thanks, everybody. Later.